Hello, citizens of Earth! I am the Ethereal Orpheus, and roll up your sleeves because today I want to talk about my favorite video game series of all time, and that is Yakuza, or you may know it as Like a Dragon these days. Now, Yakuza is my favorite video game series for many reasons. It has tons of content, which is always awesome, it has a great story for most of the part, and every entry is a huge game. In fact, it took me a full year to go from the start of the series, Yakuza 0, to the latest release, which is Yakuza 7 or Yakuza Like a Dragon, the reboot. So what I want to talk about today is the future of the series. So if you're not a fan, or if you haven't played these games, then maybe you should click out of this video because this might not be for you. Now, I will try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, and if you've watched the latest Yakuza Summit stream, which reveals the next 3 entries to the franchise, then you're probably safe. But still, it might not interest you if you're not a fan, so maybe click out of this video and play these games right now. But do start from Yakuza 0. If you don't, I will know. I will come to your house and I will check. Do not start from 7, do not start from 1, or Kiwami, start from Yakuza 0. Anyway, if you are a fan of the Yakuza games, then this place right here is for you because so am I. So, what about the next 3 Yakuza games? If you're up to date with the Yakuza story, then you're probably left at the same spot that I am. The end of Yakuza 7. We got a new hero and a whole new gameplay because Yakuza 7, unlike the past games, was a turn-based JRPG game. Now, every game from Yakuza 0 up to Yakuza 6 was an action-adventure brawler type game. And while this transition was a little harsh, because I do think they have to cover a lot of ground to get the turn-based gameplay where it should be, it was a breath of fresh air, both because of the new protagonist and the new gameplay that supports the story and the characters. See, with Kiryu Kazuma, the central figure in all Yakuza games except for 7, the narrative was that you are one guy against the whole world. Everyone is going to wrong you, but you will persevere through these difficulties. Now, in Yakuza 7, the main character is someone else. It is Ichiban Kasuga. And Ichiban is a far cry from the stoic character that Kiryu is. In fact, he can't do anything on his own. He relies on his friends. Hence, the turn-based combat where you need a party. Personally, I am fully behind Ichiban as a character and the new direction the games have taken. Because how many more stories can you tell with Kiryu when he's done it all? Well, that is the topic of this video, because in this stream, 3 new games were announced for the Yakuza series. With the emergence of Ichiban, it was the best time to rename the series from Yakuza to Like a Dragon. And if you've played the game, it actually makes sense why it's not called Yakuza anymore. So yes, while we all love Kiryu to death, I think most of us were on board with Ichiban because it was so fresh, so new, and so different for this series. In fact, the creator of the Yakuza series, Toshiro Nagoshi, had told Ichiban's voice actor that he would be the backbone of the Yakuza series for the next 10 years. So, new protagonist, new gameplay, new name, 3 steps forward and 3 steps back? Let me get you up to speed. Because it all sounds great so far, but what they say is not what they do. So, 3 new games announced in the Yakuza Summit. The first one was a remake of a game previously released under the name Yakuza Ishin. Ishin is like a spin-off set in the 1800s, specifically the late Edo period. You play as Ryoma Sakamoto, but if you look at his face, it's clear that that is Kiryu Kazuma. Of course, it's not Kiryu Kazuma himself per se, but it's like a counterpart of him in that era. This is a trend that many Japanese developers do, and usually they don't release these games outside of Japan because they think they won't sell here. Like Phoenix Wright has the great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which is about the same thing, and Yakuza had Kenzan and Ishin for the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 respectively, but those were games only released in Japan. Now, for a long time, people such as myself wanted these games to have ports and release in Europe, USA, and the rest of the world. And instead what we're getting is not a port, but an actual remake of the game, probably a whole new game just with the name Ishin, because it has characters from Yakuza 7 which did not exist at the time that the original Ishin came out. And let's return to the protagonist for a moment. Ryoma Sakamoto. You can claim that that's not Kiryu Kazuma, and yeah, technically you are right. But his face is that of Kiryu Kazuma. And the face is very important for a franchise because when you see a face, you instantly identify what it is. That's basically what a mascot is. I mean, when you see Sonic, you know it's a Sonic game, right? When you see Vault Boy, you know it's Fallout. And naturally, Yakuza needs a mascot too, and that happens to be its protagonist, Kiryu Kazuma. However, with the name change and the gameplay change and the protagonist change, one could expect Ichiban to star in Yakuza Ishin, but he doesn't. But that's fine, right? I mean, it's smart actually. You can continue the mainline games with Ichiban, and you can keep a spin-off or two with the face of Kiryu Kazuma, but not his actual story, which has come to an end. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, right? Because don't forget, we did say that Yakuza 7, or Like a Dragon, the game that Ichiban Kasuga stars in, has a different gameplay and a different narrative. It is set around his friends, his party, the fact that he's a failure. He's a much more relatable character than Kiryu ever was. But also what changed was the combat. And a lot of people were kinda put off by that because they loved the combat in the Yakuza games. You know, that brawler type fighting combat. The type of combat that was perfected in Yakuza Kiwami 2 and especially Judgment, another spin-off. So, quick note here, because there seem to be some problems with Judgment and the actor that portrays the main character, so you would get a game with combat that is closer to what we had in the original games than what we have in Yakuza 7. Not identical, but closer. Okay then, cool. What was the next announcement then? Well, we were all hanging on the edge of our seats, and I was probably the only person in the world that wanted a Yakuza 3 Kiwami. We got the big one. Yakuza 8. Or Like a Dragon 2. So the mainline game, the game that now stars Ichiban. But wait, who's that? Did Justin Bieber escape from a nursing home? But his face reminds me of someone I used to know. Yep, that is Kiryu Kazuma, with a very questionable haircut. So at this point, I was equal parts excited and bummed out, because I thought we were past the point where we needed Kiryu Kazuma to sell Yakuza games. We have Ichiban, we have a new story, have new characters, we can move forward. But no, Kiryu is back, and sure, I'm kinda happy about it, but also I'm not. And that's my main problem with how the series seems to be progressing. And it's not a big surprise to see that the third game that was revealed in the stream, the last one, the main event, was a game starring Kiryu Kazuma again. No counterpart from the future, Kiryu Kazuma himself in Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. Well damn, he erased his name, but he seems to also have erased Ichiban from existence. Like, how can you look at me in the eyes and tell me that Ichiban is the new protagonist of the series, when in 100% of the 3 games that you announced for the next few years, the leading guy is again Kiryu Kazuma? And sure, Yakuza 8 does not only star Kiryu, it also stars Ichiban. But again, it seems like they will share the spotlight. I guess I'm kinda okay with this. I already know they're all going to be great games. I already pre-ordered Ishin, but deep down, I want this to be the end for Kiryu Kazuma. Now, I'm not saying go ahead and kill him, but please just let the guy rest. I mean, he's told his story, it's done. They should have left it at Yakuza 6, which was the best ending a game can have. Except for Red Dead 2. And yeah, it was a really cool moment when you know if you know, but if you want to keep Kiryu in the mainline games, at least try to keep him as little as possible. Don't kill him, even though that would make for a great story. And it would give infinite hit to whatever antagonist the game had. But you could use him like a secret super final boss. You know, like Amon is in most games. Or maybe you could go the route of DLC, like Judgment at the Kaito Files. Maybe Yakuza games could have a short Kiryu story. Something a bit lighthearted, not too serious, like the Majima Saga was in Kiwami 2. But also what I wanted to say was that the third game, Like a Dragon Gaiden, and this treatment of Ichiban is really familiar if you think about it. Now, I don't know if you've played any Metal Gear Solid games, but Metal Gear Solid has its protagonist, Solid Snake. Solid Snake was the protagonist in Metal Gear Solid 1, but in Metal Gear Solid 2, the game did something like in Yakuza 8, where the lead was shared across Solid Snake and the newcomer, Raiden. Now, I don't know if people thought that Raiden would become the new face of the Metal Gear Solid series, but that never happened. Metal Gear Solid 3 starred Big Boss, who looks a lot like Solid Snake, and Metal Gear Solid 4 had Solid Snake again. Raiden was still a character, but he was a supporting one, and he got his own spin-off, but he was never the face of the franchise. And I'm afraid that Ichiban is going down the same road. Whereas Ichiban was supposed to be the face of the Like a Dragon series, it seems they are demoting him to being a support act. And this is what it all boils down to. Trust. They don't seem to trust our boy Ichiban with taking the reins, having the torch passed, and go on into a new generation of Like a Dragon. And I kinda wonder why, and I also kinda don't. Because Yakuza became really popular in the last few years. I mean, Game Pass helped it a lot, PC release helped it a lot, because it was an amazing series, but it was stuck on just one system, the PlayStation. And now it's gotten so popular, but the time it got popular was under Kiryu Kazuma. So people, new fans and old, know that when you play a Yakuza game, you're going to see Kiryu Kazuma. So I have to wonder, did Yakuza 7 not get the point across to people that Ichiban would be the new face of the series? What happened in their mind to go from, oh, you will be the guy for the next 10 years, to now you're just a supporting character and you have to share the spotlight with Kiryu Kazuma? I mean, it's kinda sad, because I do think that Ichiban can do a great job. I love Kiryu, but Ichiban is just so much more relatable, and you can tell so many more stories with him, because he's a blank slate. Kiryu has done it all. He's protected his family, he's lost everyone there is to lose. Just let the guy rest, for God's sakes. If you want to torment someone, go torment Ichiban. So what do you think will happen in the future of the Yakuza series? Will it be as I say and Kiryu remains the face of the franchise? Or is Yakuza 8 the last game we're ever going to see Kiryu in? Let me know down in the comments. Yakuza Ishin and Yakuza Gaiden, the man who erased his name, are slated for release in 2023, while Yakuza 8 is scheduled for 2024. Yakuza Ishin is a different thing altogether, while the man who erased his name is supposed to act like a bridge for Kiryu's story between Yakuza 6 and Yakuza 7. And I do look forward a lot for all three of these games, especially if the man who erased his name was like a throwback to everything you've done and experienced with Kiryu. Like, I would love to have returning characters, recurring side characters. Like, how in the world did we never get a white Miracle Johnson and a side quest? You know, helping him out, and then at the end Kiryu says, huh, I kinda remember him differently though. Did he do something to his hair? You know, and that's it, like, no other explanation. What a missed opportunity, right? But also, you know, in the main story, I would love if Gaiden was a little more serious, a little more heavy. Because Kiryu as a character has so many ghosts in his past. Like, I would love to see the consequences of everything that has happened in his life and how he has affected the world. Like, say, people you have helped in side quests in the past. I would love to see them again, see them being successful and being happy. Or I would love to see the memory of Nishikiyama and Yumi haunting Kiryu for one last time. You know, kinda have him question if everything he has ever done in life was for nothing, but also in the end to give him some validation that yes, he has changed the world for the better and helped a lot of people. Like, have the game be an actual bridge from his past to his present. But unfortunately, I don't think that's what will happen. It'll probably be a brand new story with new characters and just an explanation for the inexplicably bad haircut. So that's it for me today. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the future of the Yakuza series, and please like and subscribe for more. I will see you among the stars.